quite possibly a real opportunity for them to do something that's never been done before. It's just so, you never know when it gets to the end of a season. Fine margins, you know, finals, you're always going to be playing against a really good side in a final, so you just never know, and there's a reason why it hasn't happened.
Are you just putting pressure on Arsenal there in the hope that they...
Well, I'm not putting pressure on them. They've done unbelievable, Tom. Look, they've had a great season. You know, fair play to Arteta. You know, they've had an easy run in the FA Cup, but you've still got to win them games. You've got a favourable draw in the Champions League. But, you know, when you get to the final, you know, they played in the FA Cup? Portsmouth, Wigan, Mansfield, now Southampton. You know, now tonight they've got Bayer Leverkusen and then possibly Bodo Glimt. They've had a favourable draw.
Bodo Glimt or Sporting, and then after that.
But when you get to the final, Tom, you've got Man City. You've got, you know, maybe a Liverpool. You've got a Bayern Munich.
Real.
You know, Real Madrid. You know, then we're talking about, let's see what happens when you get to the right at the end. And that's why managers don't like to talk about it, because, yeah, you can get to this point. I think Liverpool got to this point, you know, a couple of seasons ago. But it's the last one. The last one that matters.
Could fatigue be a problem with so many games?
Yeah, I mean, but they've got the squad now, right? This is, you know, yeah, of course, you know, fatigue is always a problem in most teams. But Arsenal have built a squad of players who, you know, are very good, and he can change the side and he can adapt. So we'll see. Yeah, of course, it's going to be fine margins. It's going to be them little moments. I remember when Man United won the treble in '99. It's the little moments in games, the little tiny things that sometimes go your way, sometimes they don't. If they go Arsenal's way, they've got a chance, definitely.
Well, something that hasn't gone your way today, Jamie, is that your mate Nick Caramanlis is our Arsenal fan today. All right, Nick, I'm sure you probably want to talk Tottenham with Jamie O'Hara, but we're going to stick to Arsenal for now, at least. How are you feeling about tonight?
Yeah, look, everyone's got us nailed on for tonight, but, you know, don't want to be complacent, because football can have a funny way of making you look stupid. Obviously, Jamie knows that himself. But sorry, I had to get something in. But listen, given our European form, we should be looking to have this tie done and dusted, even by tonight, pretty much. Leverkusen not in the best form domestically themselves, blowing hot and cold in Champions League as well. I know they beat City at their ground, but they've been equally poor in other games. So, listen, from an Arsenal perspective, we haven't been great going forward at all. But and on paper, we should have been smashing teams like Mansfield, and we haven't. But like every game at the moment, we seem to be limping over the line. But in Europe, we just look different. We look like the old Arsenal, the old kind of when Arteta first joined, or even when Wenger was there. I don't know if that's.
What do you mean the old Arsenal? You've never won it. What are you on about?
No, but this season in Europe, we've looked like the free-flowing Arsenal. That's what I mean. We're playing so much differently in Europe than we are in the league. I don't know if that's because European teams, I don't know, are poorer, or they're not taking it as seriously in the group stages because there's not as much jeopardy. But certainly they're letting us play, put it that way. And we're looking like free-flowing Arsenal. We haven't looked like that at all in the league this season. We've looked really poor going forward.
Nick, when it gets to the latter stages, though, right, we can talk about your run-ins, and look, you've got a favourable run-in in the Premier League. It looks like that might be done and dusted. You know, you've played Portsmouth, Wigan, Mansfield and Southampton in the FA Cup. Favourable running. Decent running with your run-in with the Champions League. But when it gets to the crunch, the finals, the Carabao Cup final, you know, the Premier League last days of the season, you know, when you talk about the final of the Champions League, the final of the FA Cup, how are you good enough? Because I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that you are. I think you're crawling over the line in so many games, and that's credit to you. But do you think you're actually good enough?
Yeah, do you know what, Jamie? I've got to kind of half agree with you there, because I haven't seen evidence of us being good enough yet. Because it's all well and good beating Bayern in the group stages, but you like teams like that, for example, they start turning it on around this stage of the season, right? And sometimes it's not about the person. Like, for example, Bayern Leverkusen tonight. It's not about the team you're facing as such, it's the occasion as well, right? We're going away to a ground which is going to be rocking. Can they, you know, that pressure, will it get on top of them? Because, like you said, I haven't seen us in crunch games yet under this Arteta team get over the line. And, you know, like with any cup competition, you can have an off night. You can get someone sent off, you can go into penalties. nothing's a given, so we can't get ahead of ourselves. So I think if we get over the line domestically in the league, which I think that's our best chance at the moment, I think that's going to propel us going forward, and I think we'll start seeing a different Arsenal next season. But this season, I'm not talking about quadruple anytime soon, because I think it's too difficult.
2 years ago at this stage, we were talking about this team not having won a knockout game for, I think it was 13 years. Last season, we were talking about them not winning a semi-final for 16 years.
Yeah.
Do you think this team's in a different place now, that it sort of belongs at this level? You've kind of established yourself at the business end of this competition?
I believe so, but this is football and you have to show it tomorrow night. And in order to do that, you have to be so clear what the game is going to demand, and you need to perform on the day. Champions League, it's about the day, and within that day, there are moments, and you have to be better than that opponent.
Do you sense it from the squad, though, that sort of mentally they're sort of better prepared, they kind of feel they belong at this level now?
Well, so they certainly have more experiences in the competition, because when I joined in, they were a big part of the team, never played in this competition. So that's obviously something that is necessary, like in any other competition, and they understand it better. And now we have to perform.
Simon, the Sun?
Mikel, just on that, do you feel like they learned a lot from last season's Champions League run and the one before? I remember last year you spoke about PSG and the number of times they'd not made it. Do you feel like the squad have learned a lot from last season they can take into this run now?
Yes, you learn about the things that you did well and the reason why you are there, and the things that you can improve. But then every game and every time will be so specific that it's so difficult to replicate. You can have set some memories, but actually you have to apply your learnings in that moment. And that window is very small, and you have to be very efficient.
We obviously saw the FA Cup draw the other night, which I think in the fan base has sort of stirred up talk of the quadruple again. Is that something you encourage your players to talk about, or do you sort of say, look, don't talk about this?
No, I don't use that phrase, don't talk about it. I don't know why they talk about it when I'm not there, but we all know the difficulty of every competition. It starts tomorrow. We are changing from competition to competition every 3 days, and so far we've done so well, and we need to continue to do that.
James, Athletic?
Hi, Mikel. We just had Kai in here talking about this club where he spent so much of his young life and his career. I just wondered, how much did you see of Kai when he was here at Bayer Leverkusen, and what were your impressions of him as a young player?
Well, not too much, to be fair, because in our league and with the amount of games that we play, we don't have much time to analyze an individual player in a different country. But I did speak to him. He has spent 10 incredible years here. The way he talks about the club, the people here, the culture, what he's learned, and how part this journey was for him to continue his next chapter in England was capital. And yeah, a lot of learnings, and I'm glad to see how people receiving the moment he's walking around the building, and I'm not surprised.
And obviously he had some minutes at the weekend. How confident and happy are you that he's really approaching this run in his best condition? Yeah,
now it's been 3 weeks that he had total consistency in terms of training, preparation, and game time, and we're going to continue to load that because we know how Kai can impact his team.
Leverkusen take on Arsenal tomorrow night, and this is where it all began for that man there, Kai Havertz. Let's hear what he's got to say against Bayer Leverkusen.
Friends and try to lift each other up here and there, but at the end of the day, you know, the players, the whole club has been amazing, and I think that's what you need, especially when you're out and seeing the boys doing so well. You just want to be part of it. So yeah, I think obviously it's tough for him, but I think he's going to be hopefully back very soon.
When you were coming back, you started to play behind the centre-forward position a little bit in the number 10 role. So it might mean that you and Martin are going to be competing for a very similar position on the pitch. How do you feel about that?
I think competing is part of football. I think in general, when you see our squad is unbelievable, the players we have. And I think competing is very healthy for us. You know, we're lifting each other in training in the game, and just it does a lot to our game as well, because everyone basically can play every game. And I think that's so important. And we've seen, especially this season, how important it is sometimes in games when you need a goal or need to defend a goal. Everyone can come in, and I think sometimes it's tough for the manager to decide who's playing, who's not playing. But I think that's our job, to make it hard for him. So I think competition is always good, and I think there's not going to be a lot of arguments, especially between players about anything. It's just we are a team and we all have to compete together and win games.
James?
Kai, just on the injuries, I mean, you said it's one of the biggest sort of challenges of your career. Can you just talk about the kind of mental aspect of coming back, thinking you're back and you're ready to play, and then having another injury? I mean, are you having to learn to trust your body again?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, yes, in a way, because obviously I had 2 injuries now 3 injuries behind each other, but yeah, for me it was just tough because I never felt that pain before in my life, and it just came like randomly. But I tried to go through these things, and obviously I got my support from at home as well, my family. That helped me a lot during that time. But obviously, having 2 surgeries after another is not easy. But I think I'm professional enough to know that's also this is part of football sometimes, and I know that there are so many players out there that went through stages of their career also, and I think I'm still young, so I've a lot of years hopefully in front of me. But yeah, obviously mentally it was tough, but I think I got the help from at home, from Arsenal, from the players, so everyone was lifting my spirits, and then that's all I can do. I tried to help the players also off the pitch, because I was at the training ground every day, and I saw them competing in the games in the stadium, and for me it was a joy to watch them.
Do you have full confidence that those injury problems are behind you now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm confident. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. Obviously, things can always happen, but I'm feeling 100% ready to play games. I'm feeling fit, and I can't wait to help the team in the next couple of months.
Matt?
Hi, Kai. Can I ask you one about Victor? He's obviously had a lot of scrutiny on him this season, and maybe in your first season here, you had some questions too. Is that something you sort of speak to him about, giving him advice, and how do you think he's dealt with it all?
Yeah, of course, we speak about lots of things. In general, sometimes I don't think us as players, we understand the critics. I knew it from before, and I felt it myself when I came to England, first of all, and then when I came to Arsenal. You always need some time to adapt, but I felt, even though people saw him very critical in the first couple of months, I never saw it, because he's a player who helps the team in so many different aspects. And I think there's only a few players that, I don't know, score 30, 35 goals a season, and I think he's done amazingly this season, and he helped us a lot. And yeah, he's a top guy, and I'm sure he's also gonna score some more important goals in the next games.
James?
OK, so Kai Havertz there, speaking ahead of Arsenal's game with Bayer Leverkusen tomorrow night. Stay with us.
The thing is, he might have to find himself having to battle a little bit more than before he got injured, because Gabriel Jesus, Gyökeres, and of course, you can have Eze as a false 9 too. So there's a lot of people that Mikel Arteta can pick from now.
How strong do you think Arsenal, because we've spoken about them in strength and depth, we've heard about Newcastle at the moment, they're struggling, they've played an awful lot of games. How strong are Arsenal in terms of the fact that they're still fighting on all 4 fronts? Can they go deep into these competitions?
Well, I think they've probably got the deepest squad in the Premier League, and that was really what they targeted last summer in the transfer window. Because they had so many injuries last season, they didn't want to fall into the same trap again this time around. Having said that, Arsenal have had significant number of injuries this season, and they have had to use every single player within that squad. Kai Havertz offers real versatility up front as a number 8, as a number 10. Similarly for Eberechi Eze, similarly for Mikel Merino. These are types of players that, I know Merino's going to be out for a period of time now, but these are players that can fill in different positions for Arsenal. So I think for them, they have got the deepest squad in the Premier League, and probably, rightly so, favourites for the Champions League. They'll be targeting getting the job done tomorrow night. That then might enable them to potentially rest a few players next week if they can build a significant lead against Leverkusen in the first leg.
OK.